one of a number of celebrities to back a new campaign urging people to treat help if their persistent cough carries on.
Yeah, it's as NHS England research shows 2/3 of people would avoid seeing their GP even if their symptoms had lasted for more than 3 weeks and they're tested negative for coronavirus. Let's have a look.
Looking back on it, she never told us how she was feeling. She was always making sure that we were all okay and making sure that my dad was okay. I remember sitting there on the phone to the doctor and she said, "I'm afraid it is lung cancer."
My wife, Ruth, was diagnosed with non-smoking lung cancer. Ruth was unbelievably fit and healthy, the sort of person that you never thought would get ill.
Well, let's talk more about this with Professor Peter Johnson, who is the National Clinical Director for Cancer at NHS England, and Shan Evans, who was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2015. Very good morning to both of you. Shan, maybe I can start with you. How are you now? I mean, that's number one. How are you now?
Oh, good morning. I'm very well. I'm really very fit and well, thank you.
Well, that's the most important thing, and your story is exactly what we're talking about today. Do you want to take us back to a point in time? You had a cough. What happened next?
Yeah, I did. At the beginning of 2016, I had just a little annoying cough, but it wasn't anything much. And I probably wouldn't have taken any notice of it at all. But friends said to me, well, you ought to go to the doctor with that. And when I went to the doctors, the receptionist said to me, yes, you should get the cough seen to. And so I saw the doctor and I was sent for an x-ray and it moved on from there.
And luckily you went sort of quite early on, didn't you, Shan?
Yes, as I say, it was a very small cough and I probably wouldn't have bothered, but I had had it for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. And so, as it turned out, it was really crucial to go that early.
Let's speak to Professor Peter Johnson. And the point being made today is that there are many people, and you give us your assessment, who might have a cough and perhaps because of, don't go and see their doctor. So at what point do people need to go and see their doctor?
Well, good morning, Louise.
Morning.
It is so important that if people have got a cough that's been going on for more than 3 weeks, or have got any of those other worrying signs, losing weight, coughing up blood, pain in their chest that's carrying on, that they do go and seek help. We know that we haven't seen a lot of people with lung cancer that we would have expected to see. During December, we were back up to normal levels of people being referred for cancer checks for most types of cancer, but we've still only seen about 3/4 of the people we would have expected to see for potential lung cancer symptoms, and that's obviously a big worry. There's a big overlap with the symptoms of COVID, but if you haven't got COVID and you have got a persistent cough, it is so important to get it checked out, because if we catch it early, we can cure it in a proportion of people. So that's such an important message. People shouldn't be frightened, people shouldn't be worried about troubling the NHS or seeing their GP practice. We really want them to come forward now.
Well, Professor, that's a really important point you made there, because I think a lot of people instinctively, number one, they're thinking it's winter. Sometimes there are bugs around anyway, you can't shake it off. Then there's the issue around COVID. You're thinking maybe I did have COVID and maybe it's linked to that. And then the third one is, do you know what? Doctors are busy. I don't want to trouble them because I don't feel that bad.
The NHS has gone to a huge amount of effort to make sure that we can keep treating people with cancer. I think we've treated more or less twice the number of people with cancer as we have with coronavirus over the last few months. So the NHS is here for people, and we've taken precautions to make sure that you can see your doctor safely. Waiting times are cut right down. If necessary, you might see your doctor over a video link or over a phone call, but nonetheless, we know that if we catch cancer at an early stage, lung cancer at an early stage, more than half of people can be cured and the thing doesn't come back. If we only find it when it's spread around the body, then less than 5% of people are alive 5 years later. So it makes a huge difference to our ability to help you if you come forward quickly.
And those are really stark figures. Shan, let's talk to you, because you were diagnosed with lung cancer and actually it was early on. So what was your treatment then?
I had an operation where part of my lung was removed. The operation was really very straightforward and I recovered from it really quickly. And soon after that, I started doing 5K runs, which I've never done before. So I ended up fitter after the operation than I had been before.
Well, I mean, yeah, this is very impressive, Shan. I think we might even have some pictures of you. I think here we are. This is a picture of you maybe just about to start, just finishing one of the runs you're on. So congratulations on that. It's brilliant, and holding up the medal there. Can I just say to you, I mean, if there are people watching this morning, there will be, who may be kind of thinking what you were back in those days. What would be your direct message to them?
My message is go and see your GP, because yes, if it's caught early, then the treatment can be really straightforward, and the recovery can be really straightforward as well. So I wouldn't hesitate. I'd go straight to see my GP now if I had anything that troubled me like a cough.
And Professor, and just one last thought really, and we heard from Andrew Strauss just before we talked to you, talking about his wife, who, you know, he said was fit and healthy and not a smoker. So, you know, these are kind of, you know, you shouldn't make assumptions, should you?
You should never make assumptions. If you've got those worrying symptoms, whatever your state of life, please come and see us. That's what we're here for.
Okay, and just going back to that kind of early diagnosis, we heard there from Shan, I mean, this can make a massive difference, can't it, to people as well?
It can make such a big difference, and I think people traditionally have thought if you've got lung cancer, there's nothing that can be done. We have lots of treatments, as you've already heard. People can have operations to remove the cancer. We have brought in sophisticated new ways of giving radiotherapy so that we can treat people even if they're not so fit for an operation. And we have lots of new cancer drugs that we've brought forward during the pandemic to make sure that we can treat people as safely as possible and in ways that don't suppress their immune system nearly so much. So we've made a huge amount of progress over the last few years in treating lung cancer, but we can only treat people if they come and see us.
You make a very good point. Professor Peter Johnson, thank you very much indeed, and Shan Evans, thank you so much, and good luck with the rest of the running as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be speaking to the Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, in just a few minutes' time now to get the news.